Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Ask FEMA Wildfire Recovery Q&A for LA County residents. We appreciate you taking the time to join us tonight. Our goal is to provide you with clear and helpful information about federal disaster assistance and answer as many of your questions as possible. We want to make sure that this session is accessible to everyone. American Sign Language interpretation is available throughout the webinar in the Q&A box, and we'll do our best to use the Q&A feature. When asking your question, please do not share any personal information, such as your name, your registration ID number, your address, and we certainly want to protect your privacy. Available after the event. We will also send a follow-up email with helpful resources and links to assist in your ongoing recovery. Thank you for being here tonight. We'll get started very shortly.
Please make sure that the interpreters are spotlighted the whole time.
Hola y bienvenido a Ask FEMA, preguntas y respuestas para recuperación de incendios forestales para residentes del condado de Los Ángeles. Agradecemos que se haya tomado el tiempo de unirse a nosotros hoy. Nuestro objetivo es brindar información clara y útil sobre la asistencia por desastre y responder tantas preguntas como sea posible. Queremos asegurarnos de que esta sesión sea accesible para todos. Tenemos interpretación en lenguaje de señas americana disponible durante el seminario web. Si necesita traducción al español, infórmenos a través de la función de preguntas y respuestas y haremos nuestro mejor esfuerzo para ayudarle. Para enviar una pregunta, utilice la función de Q&A. Al hacer su pregunta, no comparte información personal como su nombre, número de registro, dirección o número de teléfono. Este es un foro público y queremos proteger su privacidad. Esta presentación se está grabando y estará disponible después del evento. También enviaremos un correo electrónico con recursos útiles y enlaces para poder ayudar en su recuperación. Gracias por estar aquí y comencemos.
Welcome everyone to our conversation with you about the questions that you have for FEMA. We're excited to be able to bring this information to you today. Please note, as was mentioned earlier, that this event will be recorded and that we will provide helpful resources to you after the event concludes to help you with your recovery. Let's get started.
Wildfires move fast. As the wildfires continue to impact communities of the Los Angeles County area, we are working alongside our state, local, and tribal partners to provide people with all the help and assistance they need. FEMA teams are here on the ground providing support to those that are impacted. If you need help, go to disasterassistance.gov or call 1-800-621-3362 to learn more about all the resources that are available. Recovery is difficult and it takes time, but we are committed to being with you every single step of the way. Stay safe, take care of yourself, of each other, and know that FEMA will always be here to help.
So we want to thank our acting administrator, Cam Hamilton, for that message and just start with what we will share with you this evening. First, we'll talk about after the disaster, immediately following the disaster, what that landscape looked like and how you can navigate when disasters happen. The next section we'll talk about is available assistance. What assistance is available to you from FEMA and from our partners, I believe can speed your recovery. We'll also talk about avoiding scams and fraud, other FEMA programs that you may not be familiar with, preparing for future disasters. So we'll leave you with some resources that you can use when you are ready to prepare in the future. Some information about doing business with FEMA, deadlines, key takeaways and reminders. And then we will follow that with the meat of the presentation, which is questions and answers. So throughout the presentation, you are able to ask questions in the Q&A box. That will allow our team to answer those questions for you and provide you some of the links that will also be provided to you in the follow-up presentation. So that as we go along, if something pops into your mind, we can help to answer that question so that you can move forward and have a good learning experience with us today. Sometimes disaster assistance and federal programs can be a bit convoluted and complicated. And we know that for many of you, this is your first experience with a disaster. We know that it's challenging, and so our aim is to make sure that you get the information that you need to be able to successfully navigate. I would encourage you to take notes, to, again, ask questions, and also let us know if there's anything that we haven't been able to cover in this presentation that will support you along your journey. We're really thrilled today to have someone from SBA to provide support to you as well and provide additional information about their programs. So let's go ahead and move forward. Immediately following the disaster, our regional administrator, Bob Fenton, shared a video that he taped with one of the local media stations that I think really contextualizes what FEMA provides and how it can impact you.
We have FEMA Regional Administrator Bob Fenton. Bob, I'm so glad you're here. I understand you just wrapped up that meeting with the president. So what did you tell him?
Well, I talked about the programs that we are providing in Los Angeles for those displaced from the fires and those impacted by the fires. We have a program in FEMA that people could go to disasterassistance.gov and register for. Under 621-3362 FEMA number to start the application process to give you assistance for those that were displaced or provide you other assistance for expenditures that you needed to do for maybe for gas or for other consumables that you might need to purchase while you were displaced from the fires.
Okay, one more time, that 1-800 number, so repeat it.
Yeah, it's 1-800-621-3362.
Okay.
But I would urge people to go online at disasterassistance.gov and start the online application process. We've had 26,000 people apply already, and we've already dispersed over $5 million. And so we talked to the president about the process to help individuals both in the short term, but more importantly, already starting to talk about the long term and other assistance that will need to be provided. In addition to the chief of the Forest Services there and talked about the firefighting activities going on and the wind events next week. So I think we all need to continue to listen to local officials, be ready to evacuate when needed, and be prepared to make sure that we're taking prudent action.
Yeah, and I just want to tell our viewers and you as well that, Bob, we are seeing live pictures over just the devastated area. It is an extraordinary look, aerially speaking, but that's the Pacific Palisades, and it is, you have to question what really is left, what remains. It seems like absolutely nothing. So when you look ahead at these winds, how much can that potentially hamper what FEMA is able to do on a practical level between now and Wednesday, Bob?
Well, right now, there's, I would say, two different things happening. One is focus on the immediate response of fires out and preparing for the next set of fires. And that's happening between local, state, and federal firefighters and actions of emergency managers. On the other side, we are already starting to reach out and care for those that have been displaced or been impacted by these fires. And that's why we want people to register into our program so we can jumpstart that assistance and start assisting them on the road to recovery. Mm-hmm. Everyone, if they are insured, should phone their insurance company and start with insurance first. And those that are uninsured or not insured, we have assistance we can help them with.
Okay. Let me ask you about something, because it's been getting a lot of buzz. People talking about California Governor Newsom and what he's doing now, calling for an investigation into why some fire hydrants ran dry and also why a major reservoir that services the Pacific Palisades there was empty and offline when the fires began. Based on what you know, Bob, how much of a factor did these water supply issues hamper efforts to contain the fires?
Yeah, I think those questions need to, as a governor, has asked for be investigated. It will take many different groups from different organizations and agencies to come together and discuss that. And probably a better question to the firefighters, both at the federal and state level. My focus is really to help those that have been impacted by those fires and to start to not only help them right now as they're displaced, but really start the process to help them recover, and doing things like not only helping individuals, but starting to come up with plans on how are we going to remove the debris? How do we take care of the hazardous materials there? All the things that we see after significant fires and such destruction as this.
Yeah.
So one of the things that Ari Fenton mentioned that I think is really important to set the stage for our conversation is that there are some areas of assistance / things that happened during the fire that we won't be able to address because they're not within our jurisdiction as the Federal Emergency Management Agency. And so I want to make that clear. There will be lots of questions that we can answer and other questions that maybe we cannot, but that does not mean that we are not here, that we are not willing to answer your questions. And so I think it's extremely important that we're here and that we delineate what FEMA can provide, what we can support, and what others, partners that we have, some of them which are on the line, can also support you in. So we're going to talk about applying for assistance, and there are 4 ways to apply for disaster aid. One is going to disasterassistance.gov. The other is downloading our FEMA app, calling our 1-800 number 621-3362, or visiting a disaster recovery center in person. We have 2 disaster recovery centers, one in Altadena and one in Los Angeles, that you can visit and get help from live people. And so if you have questions that you feel like are not being answered while we are on the ground, especially ahead of this March 10th deadline to apply for assistance, I would really encourage you to go to a disaster recovery center. Not only is there information there from our agency, but there's information there from all of our partner agencies. There are nonprofits who can provide additional support and assistance. It's a hub for information. So take advantage of that while it is available to you in the early stages of this disaster. We also have disaster survivor assistance teams, and those teams go out into the field. They can provide you with application updates on your file. They can answer questions about registration and actually register you for assistance. They can also provide referrals for additional assistance. So if for some reason you see someone walking through your neighborhood, they're typically in groups of at least 2, and they have a FEMA shirt on, they may be able to give you some information about resources that you may not have known about, or that when you registered for assistance, you didn't ask about because you didn't recognize that you needed that type of support. So this is one of the ways that we support you, and I'd like to show you what that looks like in real time.
We have been going door to door, trying to reach out to survivors that perhaps haven't been able to have the opportunity to register for disaster assistance, whether that be for not having transportation or not having the resources like internet connectivity to register for FEMA. So what we do is we go door to door and we make sure that they're registered. And if they are already registered, what we do is we just check on their cases, we provide updates, we provide inquiries, and tell them of any necessary documentation that they may be missing in order to keep that ball rolling. The main function of DSA is to assess, inform, and report. So we really just want to make sure that we're checking up on survivors. If they have anything important that they want to let us know, then we try and listen to their stories. We want to make sure that they're registered, and we want to make sure that everything in their case, any confusions that they might have, is all cleared up. I've just really learned to listen to people's vulnerable stories, hear them out, and take everything that they're saying into consideration whenever they have something that they want to say. It's just important that we listen. Just really focus in on their main concerns so that we can see how we can provide assistance for them and give them the type of assistance that they not only deserve but need.
So that's what disaster survivor assistance teams do. I will have you know that they are not only at your door, but they are at the grocery store, the post office, other locations that we find out survivors are congregating. But one of the reasons why we're doing this presentation is because we also know that a lot of people have left the area. And so we would encourage you to share with them that this information will be available online so that they can also get similar information to those individuals who are still here on the ground. So here's kind of an overview of what we would call our Survivor's Road to Recovery. And within this presentation, I have a link to a document on our website that actually step-by-step walks you through what it looks like to apply for assistance. So of course, at the beginning, as Mr. Fenton said, we would like for you to file your insurance claim. We are aware that there are challenges and delays with your insurance coverage being shared with you. So if you have not already, please submit your insurance declaration page that shows us what you are eligible for from your insurance. And then as soon as your insurance replies to you, lets you know what you are eligible for, send that information into us because it makes a big deal as we're looking at what assistance we can provide to you. If you don't know already, you only register for FEMA assistance once. And so you answer a series of questions for us. That process is really short. It may take about 10 minutes for you to answer all of the questions that we have. And then once you answer those questions, we're going to review the information that you've submitted to us, including your insurance information, and make determinations on what FEMA programs you are then eligible for. That's really important because you don't have to apply again or register again for assistance. And you can call us back on the same registration and say, hey, my situation has changed. I now need this assistance. I did not supply receipts for this form of assistance, but now that's important to me. So these are ways that you can continue your registration after March 10th. But we have to have that initial request for FEMA assistance by March 10th. And those are the ways that you can reach out and register. After you register for assistance, an inspector is going to reach out to you. They may call you from a number that does not look like a FEMA number because they are contractors of ours. They'll give you a call. They'll say, hey, I'd like to meet you to go over your damages. If you are not able to get back into your home, which a lot of that has been cleared up now, but if you're still unable to get there, they can meet you off-site or have a conversation with you about your damages to determine what you may be eligible for from FEMA. FEMA does not pay replacement value for your items, unfortunately. And so as they look at the damage at your property, they are looking to see what you could be eligible for up to a maximum amount. They're not going to determine the amount that you receive. They're just going to make notes about what they see at your property. And that is very important. So if for some reason you cannot be present at the inspection, please reach out to us. You can submit a letter to us that allows us to allow someone else that's over the age of 18 to be there on your behalf to look at the damages and speak to the inspector. Once that inspection is complete, we can move forward with the process. I think this is also a great moment to explain that even if your home has not been completely destroyed, if you have had wind damage, maybe some shingles have been removed off of your roof, if you have an extreme amount of soot inside your home, those are all potential reasons why you should apply and register for FEMA assistance, but also reasons why you may be eligible for assistance. And an inspector allows us to look at your home, determine the damages. If for some reason you have not had an inspection yet, please take images, take photos of the damage in your home. Those are things that you can upload to your disasterassistance.gov portal. And we'll talk a little bit about that moving forward. If you have an inspection, and we make a decision based on the information that you've provided us. You've sent us your declaration page. You've sent us the letter from your insurance letting us know what you're going to receive. Our inspector has talked to you to be able to verify that you are the person that lived at that residence, so that we're not providing assistance to people who are fraudulently trying to register on your behalf. Then we will make a decision. As soon as we make a decision, we will get assistance out to you. And so some people have reached out to us and said, oh, this is taking an inordinate amount of time. It's a long time. It's way too long. And once we have all of the paperwork that we need, it's really not a long process to get the assistance that you are due out to you. And then our hope is over time. I think this number 5 return home is a little too quick, but over time, you will be able to get back into your home, not only with assistance from us, but with assistance from your insurance company, other nonprofit organizations, etc. Which brings me to not only SBA, who can provide low interest loans for your home and personal property damage, but also the fact that there are voluntary agencies in the community that may be willing to assist. One of those ways of getting assistance that weren't available a few days ago is assistance through the county, which we will share with you links and dates on that. So as you're thinking about the recovery process, think about all of the different types of assistance that are available to you, how you can put those together in order to string along the assistance that you need until you get definite decisions from your insurance company, until you receive assistance from other sources, and you receive grant assistance from us. That's part of the strategy around the recovery that we want to go over with you today. Our assistance is in 2 categories: housing assistance and other needs assistance. And we'll talk a little bit more about them later, but I'd like for you to note that each grant bucket for housing assistance or other needs assistance, the maximum amount of assistance that we can provide for each of those is $43,600. And as we've talked to countless survivors in this community, we know that that is not going to make you whole, but we hope that that, along with rental assistance or lodging expense reimbursement or paying for your hotel, will help you to be able to last and support yourself, have a place to stay as you're making other decisions that are in your best interest and in your recovery. The U.S. Small Business Administration also helps with that. And the nonprofit organizations are really impactful at the beginning of a disaster. So there are going to be lots of people on the ground helping you. There are going to be drives and free air purifiers and all kinds of things at the beginning. That assistance starts to wane over time. So please take advantage of the assistance that's available in the community while it's there, if you can, if you're here locally, and then utilize that assistance to tide you over as you're making decisions about what you're going to do next. All right, so many of you ask us about denial letters. Some of you have asked specifically about serious needs assistance and why you maybe have not received serious needs assistance. So I want to tackle that off the bat. Serious needs assistance is available for the first 30 days of a disaster, and following that, that assistance is no longer available. So one of the reasons why we get out in the community and we're like, register, go ahead and register, is because we know that there are certain forms of assistance that are available up front that may not be available later on. Same thing with the American Red Cross. Their deadline just passed, I believe on February 26th, for assistance. And so it's really important that you pay attention to these deadlines so that you can get everything that is available to you. So when we talk about denial, some of you did not receive serious needs assistance, but it does not mean that you're denied for all FEMA assistance. If you get a letter that says you're not eligible, that is the beginning of the conversation. It's like a contract negotiation. It's just the start. And so we encourage you to look at these common reasons for denial and start to think about, and we'll talk to you about what you can provide to us to appeal. We call it an appeal, that decision. So when you get that letter that says you have insurance coverage for your loss, that could mean that you asked for medical expenses, and we need to know what kind of medical insurance you have and whether or not your medical insurance is going to cover your damages. Same thing for your car, same thing for your home. And that applies to homeowners and to renters. So before we can determine what personal property assistance you may be eligible for, or home repair if you own your home, we need to know what your insurance says that you are covered for. Another important note about vehicle assistance is that we can only provide assistance for one vehicle for your home. Again, our assistance is not replacement assistance. It is assistance to help you along the process of recovering. And so that is a part of your recovery, but it won't be everything that you need. We are going to provide assistance when your home is unlivable, when you cannot live there. And we'll talk a little bit about those guidelines. We're also going to provide assistance for you when your home is your primary residence. So if you have a second home in this area that was impacted, that would be an opportunity for you to reach out to the Small Business Administration, determine what assistance or loan is available to you from there, or through the county for some assistance. There may be an opportunity for you to receive assistance from there as well. But FEMA only provides assistance for your primary home. I talked to someone this past weekend who said that she was in another place. She was waiting for her home to be redecorated, and she was like planning to come back on a certain date. And just before that date, the fire happened. That's a very special circumstance. And so I would encourage you, if you have some type of a special circumstance, reach out to us, come to a disaster recovery center, let us know what your challenge is so that we can try to figure out how to overcome that within the guidelines of FEMA assistance. Another important reason for denial is that you've received assistance for the same thing from somewhere else. So as I mentioned to you, we may only help you with one vehicle in your household, but you may have had 4 or 5, depending on how many people lived in the household. If you receive assistance from a nonprofit to help you with those other vehicles, that's great. We want you to receive additional assistance. If you receive assistance from your insurance company for something that is over and above what we can support you with, we believe that that's great too. But we cannot pay for the exact same damage, exact same loss that someone else is giving you assistance for. And so as you're looking at grants and other opportunities, please keep that in mind. And that's really explained twice on this page. So, all right. So if you're ineligible due to insurance, if you receive a letter that says you are not eligible, we need your insurance settlement approval or denial, an insurance denial letter, or a written statement indicating that you have lack of insurance. Sometimes when we are in the trauma of a disaster, we will respond quickly to questions. We may do it on our phone, and we're not thinking. So if for some reason you said you had insurance and you actually don't, we need a letter stating that you don't have insurance and that you made a mistake. And we've talked a lot already about insurance denial letters, which will help us to determine your assistance. All right, so one of the reasons why you may actually be denied is because we need to prove occupancy. And as I mentioned with the young lady that I spoke with this past weekend, providing us a lease or housing agreement will show us that you did in fact live in the home. Rent receipts, utility bills, these are all of the items that you can utilize to show that you were actually an occupant of the home. The reason why we take this so seriously is the same reason why you all call us about fraud. We want to make sure that we are giving assistance to the people who actually live there at the time, and that people are not taking advantage of the system, which we've seen that happen. So screenshot this, capture it when we send you the document, so that you know specifically what documents you can utilize to prove occupancy. And note that some of these documents are documents that you can download. So even if your home has been destroyed, you can go into online portals and pull these documents to be able to provide them to us. How to provide proof of ownership is extremely important. Some people have homes that are passed down from generation to generation. It's one of the updates of our assistance recently. And so if you need to prove ownership, that you actually own the home, these are opportunities, options that you can utilize: a deed or official record, mortgage documentation, homeowner's insurance documentation with you listed, property tax receipt or bill. Many of these documents, even though it's great if you already have them in hand, you can download or request these documents as well. Court documents work as well. So here's the meat of how you can appeal. And every time you're asking for assistance based on the fact that you did not receive what you believe you should have, or based on the fact that you received a letter that said that you were not eligible, you would submit an appeal. There's a form that you can utilize to submit an appeal. You can write us a letter explaining the situation and also providing additional documentation. And you will then upload that information into your disasterassistance.gov account. You can fax it or you can mail it. You have 60 days to submit your appeal to us from the date of the letter. We have 30 days to reply to you from the date that we receive your information. So the sooner that you can get us the information, the better. For those of you who have already appealed and maybe appealed without the correct documentation, in order for your appeal to continue to be reviewed, you need to provide updated documentation. So please do not upload the same documents multiple times. As a form of appeal, we'll need additional information because maybe there was a problem with one of the documents that you submitted. So again, reach out to us, submit questions to us so that we can help you through that process. Here's an overview of how you can send documents to FEMA, and this will be available to you in the deck as well. And then these are two ways you can update your application. One is to call us, and the other is to go to disasterassistance.gov and upload information. I'll also make a point here that keeping really good records is important, not only for your insurance company, but for FEMA assistance, for the Small Business Administration for their assistance. So as my dad would tell me to do when I was a kid, get a folder to keep all of your receipts and information in so that you can quickly find what you need to be able to provide to us, and so that you can have copies so you can reference what you've shared with us previously. All right, so we've talked a lot about some of the assistance that's available. We have rental assistance, lodging expense reimbursement, which means you go and get a hotel or you had to stay in a hotel and you're submitting those receipts to us to be reimbursed for monies that you've already spent. We will pay rental assistance, lodging expense reimbursement, and help you with transitional shelter assistance where we pay for the hotel if you are displaced from your home because it's not habitable. And so we've got to determine that. And if your insurance company is not providing you with that assistance as well. Rental assistance, we can provide up to 18 months of assistance, which can be really beneficial as you're navigating other processes. And this assistance for rental assistance does not impact the $43,600 for home repair and replacement max grant amount, or the $43,600 max grant for personal property assistance or other needs assistance. We also assist with some other areas. Did someone say something?
Yeah, Brandy, somebody in the chat is asking if you can go back to the slide with the insurance denials on it.
Absolutely. Here or here?
I'm not sure which one. It's just asking to go back to the insurance denial slide.
Okay, I'll stay here for a second. Thank you for that. And again, we will share this whole deck. This isn't proprietary information. There's also an opportunity for temporary housing units. No decisions have been made on temporary housing units for these disasters yet. That is a decision that is in collaboration with local leaders to determine like what works in each community, but that could be available to you as well and could be another form of housing assistance. So we aren't talking about it because we don't know what it will be or if it will be provided during this disaster, but that is a form of assistance that can be available from FEMA. And then we also help with mitigation, which our hope is that as you rebuild, as you come back, you're making decisions that will help you to rebuild stronger so that you don't encounter the same damage from the disaster moving forward. We can also help with displacement, childcare, clean and sanitize. Clean and sanitize really is a $300 amount that you do have to let us know that you need it because your home is damaged and you're going to start doing some of the cleaning yourself. It's not a lot of money, but it's something to help you along with that process, and it's part of the assistance that FEMA provides. If for some reason someone that you love lost their life through this disaster, you are also eligible for funeral expenses. And so that is an option for you. You'd have to let us know that. You may not have known that at the time that you registered. So that's something that you can receive assistance for. If for some reason you are having stress, mental health challenges, you cut yourself, hurt yourself as you were evacuating, any medical or dental expenses that directly relate to the disaster where you don't have insurance to cover it, you may also be able to receive assistance for that. And we talked too about transportation and having a vehicle that you can use. These are all forms of other needs assistance. Now, I want to make a point here that you know that the maximum grant amount is $43,600 for this type of assistance. If for some reason you have a need in a few of these categories and maybe not a need for personal property because that's being covered by your insurance, or you can receive assistance from a nonprofit to help you with the other categories, this is the way that you can utilize keeping good records to show that this is the assistance that I need from FEMA and that I got from FEMA. And then this is the assistance that I used my GoFundMe to pay for, that I used the check from American Red Cross to pay for, that I used some other assistance that you might receive to pay for. So I'm hoping that this will help you to categorize your expenses in a way that you receive the most that you can from us and the most that you can from other resources, because it's going to take a lot to get you guys back to where you were before. If you were displaced from your rental property, you can also apply for assistance. And this is the way that you can submit documentation to us for that displacement. There are a lot of conversations going back and forth about who's supposed to clean my rental property. What does that look like? If you are renting, you are not responsible for the structure. But if you are renting, you're responsible for the contents. And so while we may be able to assist you with the contents, your landlord, based on your lease agreement, I'm hoping for you, is responsible for the structure. And so this is the way you can receive assistance from us. You can receive assistance to live in another place while your home is being repaired by your landlord or by the person who owns the home. So just know that as a renter, you do have the ability to receive assistance from us. It may not be for the structure, it's for your personal property, but you also may be able to have assistance for that 18 months to live somewhere else until your home is ready to return to, or until you find another housing option that's a permanent housing option for you. This is, again, the Survivor's Road to Recovery with the link that I mentioned to you before. So if for some reason you have received a call from us after you register for assistance, we will call you if you are eligible for what we call transitional shelter assistance. That's where we pay for the hotel room directly. You don't have to have a receipt to submit to us. We just pay for the hotel room, pet fees, and taxes. We will reach out to you. We'll let you know where you can register for those rooms. There's a website for that. That's not a typical FEMA website. And you can have that option as a place for you to live in the meantime. So I think this is really important to go over because people have asked a lot about what it means to be displaced. And, you know, in the government, we have great guidelines for that. So to have a habitable home, it has to be safe, sanitary, functional, and presents no disaster-caused hazards. And this is what we mean by it. The exterior is structurally sound, including windows, doors, and roof. The electricity, the gas, the heat, plumbing, etc. are functioning. The interior is structurally sound, including floors, walls, ceilings. There is safe access to home. The septic and sewer systems are functioning properly, and the water supply or well is functioning. If any of these things are not available to you in your home, then it's not necessary for you to live in. And so if you've received a document from your water company that says the water is not available or the issue is from this list, that would be the documentation that you would want to submit to determine whether or not you are eligible for assistance. If you are self-employed, this is a form of assistance we have not had before, and you use a computer or a camera for your work, you may be eligible for assistance under the other needs assistance category or personal property assistance category for this. This is not, again, going to make you whole. It may not bring back your Mac Mini or what have you, but it will help to replace these items. Which is a great time to talk about business.
Businesses that once stood as they are trying to keep this area contained as possible. And if you look over to the right-hand side, you also have a lot of utility crews. We've been seeing that for the last couple of days driving in and out here. And that's why they're trying to limit the number of people who come up here. They are trying to obviously restore power for those who still need power and still have homes. They are also shutting off the gas to all of the homes that are gone because the last thing they want is any sort of an explosion because of them. But while we're talking about the businesses that once were, I do want to give out a little information from the Small Business Administration about what is available. You guys may remember a lot of talk about the EIDL loans back in the pandemic. That is something that actually happens all the time. It's called an Economic Injury Disaster Loan, and they are officially available for those who have been hit hard by these fires, all of our fires here in Southern California. For those who aren't aware, for right now, these disaster loans, they are for businesses, can apply for a low interest loan up to $2 million to rebuild $500,000 for homeowners to repair their property, and an extra $100,000 for homeowners or even renters who may not have insurance on their vehicle or their belongings that were lost. So these are very, very important for a lot of folks to have that ability to rebuild. They come through the Small Business Administration. For those who aren't aware, when I'm talking about low interest, it's 4% for businesses, as low as 2.5% for homeowners and renters who need that help right now just to get started. And those are things that you pay off over several decades. So it does make it easier for folks to rebuild. And as you can see behind me, we have a lot of businesses who are simply going to need to be doing that. And we've been talking to business owners over the last couple of days, some of them deciding whether to rebuild, whether to not rebuild. And that's a decision that everyone else is going to have to make individually. But for this community, of course, they're hoping that so many of these businesses that they loved and they enjoyed are going to come back, especially here in Altadena, where a lot of these are small business owners, like the businesses that I mentioned, the coffee shop, the bar. These are individually owned places that mean a lot to this community. And so the residents that are still here and hoping to rebuild certainly hope that those businesses come back with them. I'll send it back to you guys.
Wow. You know, Joy,
So
it
the
is
Small Business Administration is on with that. Thought that was a great news spot where they actually got the information right. So I wanted to make sure that we shared that with you. But this is an overview of the assistance that is available through the Small Business Administration, and I will let them really hit it home later. But definitely you can grab a photo of this so that you know what's available to you. All right, avoiding scams and fraud. We know that people register for assistance when they have not been impacted by a disaster. It hasn't just happened here in Los Angeles County. Unfortunately, it happens across the country after disasters, and people have become more sophisticated at it. So these are some of the ways that you can report fraud. And I'll turn it over to one of our PIOs, Nicole, to share more information about it.
Wildfire survivors, stay alert for fraud. Scammers may try to steal your identity, file false FEMA claims using your personal information, or pose as fake charities or contractors. Remember, FEMA will never charge you for disaster assistance. If a FEMA inspector visits your property, ask to see their official ID and confirm your FEMA application number. Inspectors do not ask for money or personal financial details. If you receive a FEMA letter about an application you didn't submit, or if you suspect fraud, report it immediately by calling 1-800-621-3362. For more fraud prevention tips, visit identitytheft.gov. Stay safe and protect your recovery.
One of the topics that goes along with fraud and identity theft is price gouging. And although that is not our responsibility, LA County is prosecuting people who are price gouging. So here's the information that you can utilize to report those instances so that they can ensure that rental properties and others are being on the up and up about what they're providing to you. And every time you see an underline in here, that's a clickable link that you'll be able to access as well. So let's talk about debris removal for a minute, because that has become a really important topic.
The recent wildfires in LA County forced thousands of people out of their homes and left properties covered in ash and other hazardous materials like paint, lithium-ion batteries, propane tanks, even asbestos. It is extremely important that these materials are removed from your properties to help protect the health and safety of you, your neighbors, and your loved ones. We know you want to get back to your homes, but returning too soon could cause serious health risks. The Environmental Protection Agency has more than 50 teams in the field working as safely and as quickly as possible to remove the hazardous materials. Property owners do not have to pay for this service. I want to point out that this is just the first phase of the debris removal process. To expedite the second phase, please call Los Angeles County at 844-347-3332 to sign a right of entry form. This will allow the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to go on your property and remove the ash. If you do not sign the form or you choose to remove the debris yourself, you will be responsible for the costs of removing the ash and ensuring that cleanup of your property complies with all federal, state, county, and local codes. More details about the cleanup process can be found online at recovery.lacounty.gov.
So the debris removal process is being paid for by FEMA to the state of California. The governor's office determined that they would allow the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and EPA to do that work. And so because we have mission to sign them and we are like actively paying them, we're heavily involved in the process of debris removal. And so we are providing as much information as possible in coordination with the county, because the county and the Department of Public Works are working tirelessly to make sure that you have all of the information that you need to be able to submit your right of entry form. And their website is just amazing with resources. So we're going to talk a little bit more about what it looks like, but 100% of the EPA's work is complete. And so they are supporting the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for some hazardous debris removal, but for the most part, they have moved on, and the U.S. Army Corps is now moving that debris and ash.
EPA is here for the PPDR or private property debris removal operation. EPA's crews come back with what they've collected for the day and they bring it to the staging area. At no point do the materials that are being collected touch the ground as they're handled. They move straight from the truck into their final container. So to protect the environment and the health of the community and ensure we're not having impacts in the area we're working, we've done soil sampling and we're doing air monitoring throughout our process, making sure we don't have off-site impacts and that the air is not carrying toxins into the environment. EPA is working to make this a smooth and quick process, which will ultimately allow residents to start their rebuilding process. That whole government effort is EPA, federal, state, tribal partners, private entities, and the community. And without all of us coming together, we won't be able to accomplish this important mission.
So those are teams from EPA, and we wanted to share that so you would see how the debris is being handled and also share with you what this wet process looks like from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers that keeps down a lot of the soot and ash from getting into the atmosphere.
In the aftermath of the Los Angeles wildfires, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is using the wet method as part of the private property debris removal mission. This technique involves spraying water over debris at residential sites to minimize ash and dust movement, ensuring the air stays clear of harmful particles. By controlling dust, the Corps is helping to protect public health and safety while making cleanup efforts safer and more efficient. Every step of the way, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers remains committed to restoring these communities and supporting their recovery.
Now, recently, you guys have been asking some hard questions about a few topics, and the county has done some really great, really short content about that. So I'm going to share it with you now.
Hey folks, Colonel Eric Swenson here, Army Corps of Engineers. If you've seen more big trucks on the road lately, that means we're making progress. Our teams are working hard to clear debris, and that requires a lot of hauling. We know it can cause some traffic headaches, but we're coordinating with local officials to keep things moving safely. Thank you for your patience. Every truckload means one step closer to recovery.
See, I told you they were short. Here's another.
Safety isn't just part of the job, it is the job. Every piece of debris we remove follows strict federal, state, and local environmental regulations. We monitor air quality, control dust, and ensure all debris goes to properly permitted landfills. Our mission is recovery, and our priority is health and safety. You can count on us to do this the right way.
One more.
Hi folks, Colonel Eric Swenson here, Army Corps of Engineers. We understand how important trees are to this community, not just for their beauty, but for the environment, shade, and stability of the land. That's why I want to take a moment to clarify how we determine which trees must be removed. Not every tree that has been marked will be removed. We only remove trees that, 1, pose an immediate safety risk to the public or work crews, 2,
are within the ash footprint and must be removed to safely clear debris, or 3, have been evaluated by a certified arborist and determined to be dead or expected to die within 5 years. You'll notice trees marked with 3 blue dots at eye level and a barcode tag placed near the base of the tree. This means that they have been assessed for potential removal. We know this is an emotional process, and we're working closely with Los Angeles County. If you have concerns, we encourage you to reach out. Thank you for your patience and trust as we work to clear debris from the community safely and quickly.
All right, so now we know about trees and debris removal and the fact that the EPA is done with their work. And if you have additional questions about that, we will help you as much as possible. And we will refer you back to the recovery.lacounty.gov/debris removal site, which has a great Q&A section to answer a lot of questions. I also want to talk about other assistance that FEMA provides. So if you're a private nonprofit or a house of worship, you may be eligible for public assistance. There is a difference between individual assistance, which we've talked about this entire presentation, and public assistance, which is actually our largest grant program. That assistance is to help with infrastructure, the school in your neighborhood, the roads that may have been charred or damaged, all of those infrastructure needs that the city that you live in may be concerned about. We help local municipalities to write grants to FEMA to receive that assistance. And we work with the California Governor's Office of Emergency Services to make that happen. And these are the kinds of projects that we support. So if you are a house of worship or a nonprofit leader, this assistance may be important to you.
Houses of worship and nonprofit organizations affected by the Los Angeles County wildfires may be eligible for FEMA public assistance to help repair or restore damaged facilities. To apply, submit a request for public assistance by March 9th, 2025 through the FEMA grants portal at grantee.fema.gov. Here's what you'll need: a unique entity identifier from sam.gov and registration on the FEMA grants portal. Once submitted, FEMA will review your nonprofit status and services to determine eligibility. Approved applicants can then request reimbursement for eligible work. Organizations are also encouraged to apply for a low-interest disaster loan through the Small Business Administration. Don't wait. Apply now to get the assistance you need. For more details, visit FEMA.gov or caloes.ca.gov.
These are also the documents that are needed. So if there are houses of worship or nonprofits that you want to share this information with, the deadline for this assistance is March 9th. So it's really important that they sign up for an applicant briefing with Cal OES in order to get the information they need to apply for this assistance. If you are having challenges mentally, I know a lot of us are just supporting you guys. Don't be ashamed to ask for help. We do all kinds of cool things to encourage ourselves as we're doing this work. We clap it up for each other. We tell jokes sometimes just to get through the day. But when that's not enough, we have a disaster distress line that we are funding through FEMA, through SAMHSA. And that information is there. We also are funding other support systems for mental health. So please take advantage of it. We also are providing disaster unemployment assistance. So take advantage of that as well. I believe the deadline for that is December 10th. And there's a deadline deck or slide at the end that shares all of those dates with you. So if you've lost your home, you may be eligible for unemployment assistance, lost your home, lost your job, from the California Employment Assistance Agency that you would typically go to in these instances. But what you're looking for is disaster unemployment assistance. And there is a deadline for eligibility for that and for applying for it. All right, so it's raining right now. And flood after fire is a serious consequence of damage from a fire. And so we encourage you to learn more about the potential hazards of flooding after a fire in a burn scar area. We also encourage you to check out insurance options for flood insurance that will cover you for debris flows, whether they're from FEMA or somewhere else, because that is definitely a concern. These are some other resources just to help you as you are preparing for disasters moving forward. I thought this one was really important about keeping a copy of important documents uploaded to the cloud. I've been a little skittish about doing that myself, but after these kinds of events, it may be a good idea. If you're interested in doing business with FEMA, this is some information for you. There's actually a click through here.
We've heard from quite a few business owners who are interested in working with FEMA to help communities recover from the devastating wildfires in LA County. If you're a business owner and you're interested in becoming a vendor and competing for federal contracts, here's what you'll need to do. First, you'll want to connect with the county's Procurement Technical Assistance Center. They can help you register with sam.gov. It's free, and registration is required for doing business with the federal government. Next, be sure to familiarize yourself with FEMA's mission. We're intentional about helping communities before, during, and after disasters, and we like to partner with organizations who are interested in doing the same. Finally, keep an eye on contracting opportunities through FEMA's website. If you're interested in helping clear debris from properties across the impacted area, you should also consider signing up with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Contractor Registry. We've created a webpage where you can get more details about this process. It's fema.gov/doing-business. Remember, FEMA only engages with companies through the official federal procurement process. Solicitations sent to individual FEMA employees will not be processed.
So we have some key takeaways, and I'm going to skip this video because I want to get to questions. And I apologize that we started a little bit late this evening. We had some technical challenges. But this video you can watch, which really just talks about insurance. And the California Department of Insurance Resources is a resource that's available to you. Insurance.ca.gov. They are hosting a webinar on tomorrow that you can attend to get more information about. It's not gonna let me. Okay. Insurance support, because while we understand the challenges with insurance, it's not something that we can necessarily assist with at FEMA. So we want to make sure that you have those resources so that you can get the support that you need to be able to get assistance from your insurance company. So here are some websites. ca.gov/LA fires is extremely important for Cal OES. The FEMA.gov/disaster 4856 news media is a link to all of our resources. So you can follow any press releases or information that we share. Southern California Fires Messaging Resource Toolkit is a great resource for you to use for partners and organizations who want to share information, as well as the Social Press Kit from the County of LA. They have some great information that you can share. And of course, recovery.lacounty.gov. And then here are all of the deadlines that are available to you. LA Region Small Business Relief Fund, Worker Relief Fund are things that just started recently. So I would encourage you to check those out before those deadlines pass. SBA has a disaster loan program that the application may take a bit of time. So I would encourage you to go ahead and start that process. Private property debris removal that we talked about earlier, you must opt in by March 31st. And then there's some economic injury that's available from the SBA for those of you who have businesses Even businesses in the surrounding counties outside of LA County may be eligible for assistance because your business was impacted by the disaster. All right. So have we answered all of the questions? Let's see.
Brandy's Michael here. We've answered over 45 questions, and then somehow a few minutes ago, the whole program restarted. So I'm answering questions right now, but it's been a great night for the amount of questions. Please keep them coming. Trying to answer those questions as best as possible, but really appreciate everybody's engagement. You know, we're getting closer to 50 questions tonight, so that's fantastic.
Yay, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. So Corey, I'd like to give you an opportunity to share some information about SBA as I look at the questions and see what questions maybe we can answer corporately for everybody to hear that may be important for everybody to learn about.
Well, thank you so much, Brandy. Again, my name is Corey Williams, Public Information Officer with the U.S. Small Business Administration's Office of Disaster Recovery and Resilience. And with the SBA, we offer low-interest disaster assistance loans to not only businesses of all sizes, but nonprofits, homeowners, and renters not covered by insurance or other recovery funds. Now, the incident period for this disaster is January 7th through the 31st. So just like Brandy alluded to, the physical damage for SBA is March 10th, 2025. However, if you have economic injury only, that deadline is October 8th, 2025. So SBA uses what is called contiguous counties. So what we consider contiguous counties are all those counties that are adjacent to LA County, which include Kern, Orange, San Bernardino, and Ventura counties. Now, the interest rates for homeowners and renters is as low as 2.563%. The interest rate for businesses is as low as 4%, and the interest rates for nonprofit organizations is fixed at 3.625%. Again, there's no cost to apply, no prepayment penalty, and there's no obligation to borrow, even if you're approved. Further, there's no interest for the first 12 months of the loan, and there's no payment due for the first 12 months. So who is eligible for an SBA disaster loan? Well, again, we not only help out businesses of all sizes, but homeowners, renters, and nonprofits. Now, for physical disaster, it has to be in Los Angeles County. Now, again, for economic injury only, that can be Kern, Orange, San Bernardino, and Ventura counties. Now, renters can borrow up to $100,000 to repair or replace disaster damaged personal property, which would also include any vehicles lost. And those interest rates, again, are as low as 2.563%. And homeowners can borrow up to $500,000 to repair or replace disaster damaged real estate, and up to an additional $100,000 to repair or replace disaster damaged personal property, which would include any vehicles. And for SBA, we consider any insurance deductibles or any shortfalls on insurance as uninsured or underinsured. And SBA funds can be used for debris removal as well as relocation and refinance on a case-by-case basis. So now let's talk about business loans. So for businesses and nonprofits, businesses can borrow up to $2 million to repair, replace disaster damaged machinery, real estate, machinery, equipment, inventory, and equipment. But the most important thing that I want to emphasize for not only our businesses, but our private nonprofits is the need for working capital during this operational period. And that is the purpose of the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, which covers operating expenses such as payroll, monthly lease obligations, monthly mortgage obligations, as well as accounts payable. And one of the things that as I've been answering questions on this outstanding webinar hosted by Brandy, is that some landlords have experienced lost rents due to their property not being accessible. That is the exact purpose of the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, is to do whatever it takes, whether you're a landlord, whether you own a restaurant or you have another business, whatever funds, working capital you need to sustain the operations. That is the purpose of Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. Now, one thing that I always try to have resonate to all of our businesses and nonprofits is that economic injury started on January 7th. And so many businesses and nonprofits will wait until July or August or September, and they'll say, well, Corey, we've had drops in sales for the last 6 months, or we had to lay off employees, or we had a tenant that was supposed to start in January, and now due to the fires, they weren't even able to move in. Well, all those are signs of economic injury. And that's why I really try to make sure that that resonates for businesses, that economic injury started on January 7th with the fires. And for private nonprofits, so many times with private nonprofits, whether they're, churches or 501c3s, many events that private nonprofits actually plan are sometimes years in advance, if not many months in advance. And so when those events are canceled, suspended, or postponed, well, that's anticipated revenue on that given date, not 3 months from now, not a year from now. So I want to make sure that private nonprofits understand that they can experience economic injury as well when any events are canceled, suspended, or postponed. So my message that I always tell any business or nonprofit is that you can start with the unsecured $25,000 for the physical loss. That's if you had any physical loss. And then you can actually add the unsecured $25,000 for the economic injury. Now, keep in mind, $2 million is a threshold, but by starting with that first $25,000 for physical loss and that first $25,000 for economic injury, again, not cross collateralizing. So you can't get $50,000 for economic injury and have it as an unsecured loan. You can't get $50,000 for physical loss as an unsecured loan. It's 25 and 25. But once they start that process, maybe let's say in June or July, everything is going well, they're almost back to being operational, then they may find themselves, well, we might need more funds down the road. So you can always request increase in loan amounts for up to 2 years from the date of the loan authorization agreement. That's why I find it so vital to make sure that that message resonates to businesses and nonprofits, that you can start your recovery now and even have unsecured funds. And if you decide later to actually get increase in loan amount, you have that option within 2 years. Now, also, one of the things that's come up for many homeowners in the Palisades, as well as Eaton Fire, is that the $500,000 that SBA offers for the real estate may not be quite enough to make them whole. And that's why SBA can offer up to 20% of the total loss for mitigative measures now for all perils, which is a new rule that allows for not just the current peril of this disaster, which is the wildfire, but now you can mitigate for earthquake. You can mitigate for flood. You can mitigate for wind and tornado. The one thing that I recommend when you're submitting a mitigation plan to your case manager, where our processing center is in Fort Worth, Texas. So when you submit your actual mitigation plan from your contractor or your builder, make sure that it is approved from the actual case manager, because you can get 20% of the total loss up to an additional $500,000. So you can get $500,000 for real estate repair replacement, and then up to $500,000, which is 20% of the total loss for mitigative measures. Now, while we have disaster recovery centers in the area, I strongly recommend that you visit the disaster recovery centers. These are your one-stop shop, as Brandy alluded to. Now, if you're unable to visit an actual disaster recovery center, you can apply online by going to lending.sba.gov. Again, that's lending.sba.gov. Now, keep in mind, the filing deadline for physical damage is March 10th, 2025. However, if you have economic injury only, and those counties are Kern, Orange, San Bernardino, and Ventura, that deadline to apply is October 8th, 2025. Now, once SBA receives the application, we're going to actually send it to our loss verification team, and they will actually do a property inspection to determine the physical damage. Once we actually get that physical damage estimate, it's then passed to a loan officer who will work with the applicant to receive any additional information, review any insurance, and we will recommend a loan amount. Now, like I say, for the first disbursement for homeowners, it can be up to $50,000, which is the unsecured amount of the loan as a homeowner. And then for renters, the unsecured amount is $100,000. And then for our businesses and nonprofits, the unsecured amount is up to $25,000 for the physical loss and up to $25,000 for the economic injury. So let's recap. So for business loans, which includes the economic injury disaster loan, the max amount is $2 million. Those funds can be used to repair, replace disaster damaged real estate, machinery, inventory, equipment. But again, the most important thing that I want to emphasize for any of our LA County businesses is the need for working capital. And again, that's the economic injury disaster loan program. Business loan interest rates are as low as 4%. Nonprofit interest rates are fixed at 3.625. Now, homeowners can borrow up to $500,000 to repair, replace disaster damaged real estate, and up to an additional $100,000 to repair, replace personal property, which would include vehicles. And then renters also can borrow up to $100,000 to repair, replace personal property, including vehicles. Interest rates for homeowners and renters is as low as 2.563%. Again, that's 2.563%. And then for mitigation purposes, you can get up to, homeowners can get up to 20% of the physical damage up to $500,000 for homeowners. So again, while we have centers that are available, we have customer service representatives that are staffed in all the disaster recovery centers alongside FEMA, operating under the same hours. And our customer service representatives can answer all loan program questions. They can explain the application process and assist with the completion of your application. And they can also assist with loan reconsideration or reacceptance. Now, keep in mind with SBA, a no is never a final no. You have up to 6 months to apply for reconsideration and or reinstatement of your loan if it happens to be withdrawn. Now, to apply for SBA or to get more information, you can go to sba.gov/disaster, or you can go to lending.sba.gov. Again, that's lending.sba.gov, or you can call our customer service center, which is 1-800-659-2955. Thank you, Brandy.
No, thank you, Corey. He always makes this SBA stuff sound so clear. So we will share with you documentation from Corey as well in the follow-on so that you will have all of the information that you need. David says we need to clarify something real quick, and then I will answer some of these questions in the chat.
Again, I just want to emphasize amazing questions coming at us. We're working really, really hard to get all of these answered for you. But again, we're focused on the Q&A section, not necessarily on the chat. So I just want to make sure your question doesn't get overlooked. But to that point, there was a Sherry that asked if we could repost the websites. If Sherry, if you can clarify which websites you're referring to, we would greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, David. And thanks, team, for answering these questions. I am going to go through the questions in the chat. I'll start there, and then I'll look at some of the other questions and see if we need to hit some of those topics too. So from the Pepperdine Law School Disaster Response Clinic in Malibu, is there anything we should know and or keep our eyes on as we move into appeal season? We should really keep our eyes on people who have insurance, whose insurance has not communicated with them. Because in order for FEMA assistance to be provided to individuals with insurance, we really need the letter that says this is what we are going to provide to them. In the meantime, we can provide them a month of rental assistance, but not much more than that. And that is going to make people really frustrated. It's also going to pose a challenge for safety and habitability, people being able to continue to go to work. So that is the biggest challenge that I'm concerned about right now, is making sure that people have that information and know how to get what they need from their insurance company, which is why we're sharing the resources from the county and the state. All right, I have not received my FEMA check. That question is a good question, especially if you know when it was issued. So one thing that you can check is the routing information that you have in our portal. Make sure that it's accurate so that you can receive the assistance in your mailbox. Also check your mailing address. So if your information, your routing information for your bank account is not accurate, then we may send that check to you via mail, and it may have gone to the damaged address. It could have gone to another address that maybe you provided us when you registered for assistance. So I think that question is really important because we really need you to keep in contact with us and update your contact information, because it does take some time to reissue a check once it's been sent. So if it's possible for you to track that check down, that may be a better option than having a stop on the check and then having it reissued. Let's see. Could you please repost the websites a couple of slides ago? Yes, we will send you those in a document after the webinar. I'll try to do that tonight. If not, I will do it first thing in the morning so that you have all of the information that we provided you today. Many of us are displaced because of the toxins in our homes. Will FEMA help us remove these sources of toxins through remediation? What FEMA can do, depending on if you own your home or are a renter, is we can assist with home repair. And so if that is a part of the repair to remove the toxic parts of the house, we can assist with that. But again, with the maximum amount of coverage being $43,600 for home repair and replacement, that may not be all that you need. So we are working closely with the county, with the state, to provide good messaging to you about what challenges may be in your area, whether it's air quality or what have you, so that you can make smart decisions about where you choose to live with the assistance that we can provide while your home is repaired or cleaned. But there isn't a specific line item for that beyond that clean and sanitize of $300 that we discussed, unless your home is damaged and we're actually doing the repair. So I hope that makes sense. All right. The Public Health Department has already stated that if we are less than 250 yards from the debris, it is considered hazardous and we should not return home. If you have received notification from the health department that says that you are not to return home, please upload that information into your disasterassistance.gov portal and let us know that you would like to have rental assistance or displacement assistance. What happens a lot of times is when people initially register for assistance, they don't know what they're going to need. And so in order for us to then be able to update your registration to provide you with a place to live, you've got to call us and let us know that. So whether it's going to a disaster recovery center or giving us a call at our 1-800 number, we need to hear from you so that we can update your registration to show that that is something that you need. And this is the evidence, or the reason why is because the public health department has said that I can't go home. All right. Is the EIDL separate from the SBA loan? Corey?
I apologize, Brandy. What was the question?
Is the EIDL separate from the SBA loan? I should have given you some notice.
No, it's okay. It's all one loan. I just took a bio break, so apologize for that.
It's a long webinar.
Yes. So, but no, it is all one loan. So it's $2 million, which is the max loan, which includes any physical damage as well as economic injury. So it is one loan.
Awesome. Thank you. Let's see. What about toxins and smoke, ash, soot that leave residue and particulates that the public health department have stated are hazardous to our health? Do these make a home habitable? That's one of the reasons that I shared the information about what makes a home habitable for FEMA, so that you know, if you've received a declination, why it is that you've received a declination. Let's see. I'm spotlighting you so that I can see you. So it's really important to know that. So if for some reason there are smoke, ash, and soot in your home that keep you from being able to live there, and the inspector sees that, you provide us with pictures regarding the smoke, ash, and soot where you cannot live at home, that you may be eligible for rental assistance. But based on our regular habitability requirements, toxins in the air do not qualify you automatically for displacement assistance or rental assistance. And so we would need additional information in order to provide that assistance. Let's see.
Brandy, there's been a question posed a few times. Will this webinar be hosted again?
Oh, yeah, that's up to you guys. If we can support you, we're willing to support. This is actually a new thing for us. This is the second time that we've done it, so we're happy to help as much as we can ahead of the deadline. So this is a lot easier than going to a whole lot of town halls, because we do that too. Let's see. If you're a renter, property owner also apply for FEMA for us. If your renter applied for rental assistance, can the property owner also apply for FEMA for costs above insurance? Same address, different household. Yes, if you are the homeowner and you have a renter that lives at your home, they can apply for assistance if you can show that they were renting from you prior to the disaster. And that's a big requirement. So make sure that you provide that backup information. Do we apply for rental assistance separately from the FEMA application? No, you do not. One registration for FEMA. We call it a registration. It is an application. So tomato, tomato. But one registration for all of the assistance that FEMA provides. And what you would need to do if you are interested in rental assistance or need that, give us a call and let us know that you need rental assistance, and we will let you know what we need in order to process that for you under your original registration. Let's see. Are air purifiers under medical or others? If you had an air purifier before the disaster that needs to be replaced, you may be able to qualify for assistance to replace it. Most of the places that I go, and I've said this so many times, have air purifiers. So instead of requesting an air purifier from your FEMA assistance amount, I would look to see if there are air purifiers that are being offered. In fact, there are 2 events that we're going to this weekend that are providing air purifiers to the public for free. So reach out to us. We'll tell you where they're going to be, and you can scoot by and pick up a couple to take home. Let's see. We have some condos and apartments on our street. The people who lived in those spaces have been dumping all of their home contents on our street, and I have been begging LA County to come pick up the stuff left behind. We finally got them to pick up the stuff today, but they left behind plenty of trash. How do we get them to do a better cleanup? I would encourage you to reach out to your city to let them know that is a challenge. I know that there's some specific ways that people are supposed to leave debris to be picked up off of streets. So maybe there just needs to be some reinforcement of what that means for the folks in your neighborhood. And I'm sorry that that's happening. All right. I'm a small landlord in the Eaton Canyon fire. The rent is my only source of income. My tenants want to return to the house after remediation. I have not received any rent since January. Is there any assistance for landlords to recover loss of rents? And Corey replied, you can apply for a low interest disaster loan with the U.S. Small Business Administration. You are eligible for physical loss to repair the property and economic injury for lost rent. Interest rates are as low as 4% with no payment for a year and no interest for a year. Is there any info on when Rubio Canyon will have potable water? We survivors are struggling with the lack of potable water. I don't have information on that, but I, again, would encourage you guys to reach out to local leadership. And I will be sharing any of these questions that we aren't able to answer as well, so that we can ensure that we have answers for those moving forward. Does FEMA provide assistance for people who have lost a rental house? If yes, how does one apply, as the form only has an option for primary residence and vacation home? So back to what Corey was sharing, FEMA does not provide assistance for a secondary home or a rental house, but the Small Business Administration may be able to assist. All right. Okay, this is always the question with the upheaval in the government right now. I wanted to let you know this has been a great presentation. Brandy, Corey, and ASL interpreters, great clarity of communication. Many thanks. Thank you. We love to see it. All right. Question and answer, folks. Are there any questions that you are answering that you think everybody needs to hear?
Brandy, we answered excuse me, the vast majority of questions, and then you picked up the slack with the verbal responses here just now.
Okay. All right. All right, folks. I'm going to look at some of these questions, and I will play this last little video about insurance since I can. And some of you may find it interesting or important, and then we will let you guys go for the evening. And that'll give you an opportunity to ask any last minute questions that you have, and also give us an opportunity to kind of look through the questions to make sure we're providing all the information that you need. And part of the reason why you have seen little boxes and things is because I'm using one screen. So my apologies if any of the information was difficult for you to see during the presentation. All right.
We are back on a Saturday morning with the deepening home insurance crisis.
With thousands of homeowners in the LA area impacted by this week's devastating wildfires, the region is facing
billions in losses.
And it comes as insurance companies were already pulling back on coverage in some parts of the country due to the effects of climate change. NBC News senior business correspondent Christine Romans is here to break down what this latest disaster could mean for homeowners nationwide. Christine, good morning. I think this is an important conversation to have because so many people already didn't have insurance because of earlier natural disasters. So what are they supposed to do now?
And for a lot of California homeowners, there was already home insurance anxiety before this tragedy. And to be honest, this is still unfolding. People haven't been able to get back to their neighborhoods, so many haven't even started the insurance process. But we know that over the past couple of years, a lot of folks have had what's called non-renewal, meaning their company has sent them a letter saying, we're not going to renew your insurance contract. Or they are getting sort of the last resort lending from or insurance from the state, and that might be a bare bones policy. And they've had so there's already been deep anxiety about homeowners insurance in California, and this only adds to it. And look, these rates have been rising across the country for the past couple of years, double digits in many cases. So this is a real crisis in home insurance.
So what is the best advice for homeowners, especially maybe those who live in areas that are so prone to disasters?
I think this whole episode is a reminder that we need to check our own homeowner policies. I just recently got a letter from my insurance company saying, by the way, we've asked the state to raise yours 26%, so you've probably seen higher prices. Review your insurance policy, and it's a really good time to take pictures and videos of everything in your house, even the garage, even your closets. Go through, with your spouse or your kids and just take everything. And then all of your important government documents, the kids, birth certificates, everything you've got, make a photocopy of them, put them in a Ziploc bag, don't keep them at home, keep them someplace else.
That's smart.
It's just it just takes a little bit of the edge off if you were to lose the contents of your home to be able to go and, recreate all that stuff.
I will say, like a lot of people, I found myself at home thinking, if this happened here, where am I going to go first? What is the first thing that I grab? This is not a new conversation. The hurricanes hit Florida. We talk about the impact on the insurance industry there, the wildfires out west. What does this mean for the rest of us, so to speak, that are not affected by those in our insurance policies?
I think we're at a tipping point in the insurance situation. Here's why. We have more dramatic natural disasters, whether it's hurricanes, it's wildfires, it's heat waves, more dramatic, more unpredictable, lasting longer. I mean, fires in January in Los Angeles, this isn't the old fire season. So things are more dramatic, lasting longer, and costing more to rebuild. That means home insurance prices, which have already been up double digits over the past few years, will likely continue to rise. And there may be parts of the country that are uninsurable. That will be the federal government, state taxpayers will have to figure out how to make sure people can get coverage.
Which means higher taxes for everyone.
Yeah.
Christine, thank you. Appreciate your expertise.
All right. So when we talk about insurance, these are some of the issues that we're dealing with, and we know that these are issues that you're dealing with. So I would strongly encourage you to participate in the conversation tomorrow about insurance. And I will also share a link and flyer in the presentation for a conversation that is happening on soil testing, air quality, and those kinds of things. And the notes that I share with you all so that you can get some additional information on that, because those are some of the questions that you have asked. So we will stay on to ensure that we have answered every question that is here. We'll send these documents out to you. We appreciate you so much for taking the time this late at night to get this information, but we wanted to make sure that you had it before Monday. Because the deadline is Monday and we want you to know what you need to do. Please share the information. Screenshot, use the graphics and images to help your community, because we know that when people don't have information, it is so much harder for them to recover from these kinds of disasters. And we want to ensure that you have it. One thing that I will say, and I think this may be part of what Lorraine is going to say, is most of our resources are available in multiple languages. Every video that I've shared so far, if it's not already in Spanish, it will be, and each graphic is in multiple languages as well. So if you need additional languages, just let us know. And Laura and team are also at the disaster recovery centers. So if people need ASL, that is available to you as well. Lorraine.
Yes, I was gonna mention, and I'm gonna go with your words. I know a lot of people have questions related to their rel-
I can't
to
hear
their
you.
case. Every the
Okay,
DRC. Do you
go
hear me
ahead.
now? Okay,
Yes.
perfect. I exhort everyone, the people that have questions related to their cases, each case is different. I know they're asking, for example, they give me this amount of money. If I can appeal, can they give me more? We have the IA people there. We have the expert there. We also have SBA. We also have other organizations there. We have a federal agency. We have organizations that are from the states that everyone is in the DRC and they can provide you guidance and they can answer you those questions. That's why we have, as I mentioned, the specialists, we have individual, and I exhort everyone, they haven't registered yet, or they haven't received any notification of representative. I haven't received inspector. What can I do? Because they
Lorraine, you're breaking up.
no,
I think what she's
more
saying is
than
that
that,
there
and
are
they can
so many.
work. Also, something that I wanna. Yeah, do you hear me now?
Hold on a second. I think what Lorraine is sharing is that there are so many people at the disaster recovery centers, you wouldn't believe it. There are people who can answer your questions. They can help you to replace documents. They can walk you through the process of registering for our assistance, applying for SBA. They can walk you over to someone who can help with SNAP benefits or unemployment assistance. So anything that you need, there are actually people who are there every day to support you. They're not open on Sundays anymore, but they are open from Monday through Saturday and can provide a wealth of information to you right now. So I would go there before Monday. Monday may be a bit busy, but please go and avail yourself of those resources. Lorraine and team, our PIOs have been in those locations. And it's one of the reasons why we put this together for you all, because we've seen all of the information and just want to make sure that you have it. So with that, I just want to thank our team. You guys are amazing. Appreciation to all of you for supporting this event so late in the evening. And we're here to support you. So if for some reason you don't get the email, we will post this video in the same place that we posted the information on the website, so that you can have access to it. But we will definitely send the information to you via email at the email address that you use to register for this event. Thank you all so much. Have a great night. And for those who still have questions we haven't answered, we'll just hang out and answer those questions. All right, how we doing with the questions?
I think we're doing pretty good. One person asked, where are the where the purifiers at? So that's one. And then I think that's all we have on that. Let me make sure there's no more SBA questions.
Okay, there is an event called Together We Thrive on Saturday, March 8th at 15 West Woodbury Road in Altadena, where you can get $50 of free gas for the first 150 cars. And if I'm not mistaken, I saw this one offered air purifiers, but I will make sure, and I will put this in the presentation. And this event is from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. is for the gas giveaway, and then 11 to 2 is for the rest of the stuff giveaway and the resources and information. Let's see. And I believe that we're going to have disaster survivor assistance teams there as well to assist with registrations. So if you can't make it to the Disaster Recovery Center, you can at least get registered there. You won't have access to all of the other assistance that's available at the DRC. Let's see. And then I do want to at least mention this event that's happening tomorrow, LA County Public Health Soil Air Testing Webinar, which is on the LA County YouTube page. It'll be a live stream tomorrow.
There was a question asked that I believe many are interested in learning. How can we get documents replaced, like house deeds?
Those you can get at the Disaster Recovery
Going
Center.
through the DRC, exactly.
Yeah, they can help you to do that right there. So you can just spend a half a day and go to all of the different tables and get some support there.
Could we get interpreter 2 spotlighted, please?
Yes, sorry.
Brandy, would you drop in the Zoom link for that community event tomorrow? I'd like to listen in on that.
Yes, I shall.
That sounds interesting.
Brandy, I'm going to jump in here and add that on Saturday in Altadena, there is events starting at 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. at the Baptist Church, and I can't remember the name of Mission Baptist Church, I believe it is, that is having giveaways all day long. They're starting out by giving away gas, and then they'll be giving away a vehicle eventually, and then later in the day, air purifiers.
I think that's New Revelations Church, if I'm not
Right?
mistaken.
You are
That's the
correct,
same
Corey.
church, Brandon?
Thank you. New Revelations.
Oh, no, that's not the same one.
Okay, I'm putting this in the chat. If you guys could also add it to a Q&A or something so that other people can see it for the post-fire. I don't know if everybody can see that here.
I think your answer
Yeah,
related
you're
to the
dropping it
chat.
into the
Yes.
Teams chat?
I dropped it into the Zoom chat.
The Zoom chat.
So I want the people who are still online to be able to see it.
Yeah.
They said they cannot see it.
Okay, let me see if I can change this. How about that? See if I can copy, send to everyone. There we go.
To everyone. Yep.
Awesome. Okay. So that's the information for the event tomorrow. Let me get the event for Saturday. Mhm. Thank you all for being patient with us. Oh, but I can't upload the graphic. Okay. So I will add this graphic to the deck and share that with you all. David has also shared the DRC locations. and how you can register for FEMA assistance.
Brandy, people are
Yes.
asking if the event in Altamira, the Palisade victim can also assist. They can assist, right? It's for everyone
Absolutely.
that got affected.
And we have access to information for the Palisades as well. So we'll see if there's some other information that we have, but I'm not going to allow it to delay me sending this information to you all. So we'll get the initial information out with all that we have. And then if we do this again or are able to update our deck in the future, we'll definitely do that. But remember, your disaster survivor assistance teams have some resources that you may not know about. The Disaster Recovery Center also has resources and people there that can provide you with lots of flyers and information because they're plugged into everything that's happening in the area. And as I mentioned, as time goes on and these centers start to close, you're not going to have that town square community environment where everybody's bringing information to one place. So please take advantage of that right now. All right, folks, did we answer the questions? Is there anything that I can do to answer the questions?
Brandy,
Okay.
there's a question about the, someone is asking that about the Army Corps of Engineers remove debris before we have accepted the insurance claim or FEMA claim accepted. And the person is asking, should we delay the debris removal?
Let's see. Can you ask me that again? Because I think
Yes.
I thought I was reading the right question and I'm not.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, we're hesitant to have the Army Corps of Engineers remove debris before we have an accepted insurance claim or FEMA claim accepted. Should we delay debris removal?
So apply if you have already submitted your claim for insurance and you've already registered for FEMA assistance. And you want to wait to see what your insurance company will provide you for debris removal before you determine whether or not you want to receive assistance from the U.S. Army Corps, I say go ahead. If you have not registered for FEMA assistance, then please do that. And if you haven't submitted for insurance, then please do that. But you only have until March 31st to opt in with the ROE to receive that service from the Army Corps. So I don't want to advise you on what's in your best interest, but I would say find out either through the declaration page of your insurance, reviewing the policy, going to one of these insurance webinars, find out what you may be able to receive for debris removal, and then match that up to the assistance and information that you are learning about debris removal from the Army Corps to make an informed decision. But do that before March 31st so that you can have access to it for free.
And Brandy,
Brandy,
there's one question. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say there's one question about Denise K. She put it in a few times in the Q&A. So you may want to put some attention to that. She said it was at 7:30, and then it was also recent at 7:54.
Okay, a FEMA rep called me today and said that they would only pay $75, as he said this is based on what a virtual remote USAA insurance inspection late January stated, which was solely based on 6,000 personal property rental insurance policy coverage. I was grossly underinsured. I have appealed on February 28th and requested the full amount, but now they said only $75.48 will be paid to me. May I ask who are the people who qualify for the $43,000? My apartment neighbor had no insurance and received $14,000 from FEMA weeks ago. I am in need of financial support beyond my $6,000 USAA policy payment. Please advise on the best wording approach for another appeal round to request additional personal property and new rental support, first last deposit costs once I have found a new place. Thank you. All right. So let's get into it, Denise. Your registration for assistance is for your personal property. That is what I'm understanding. And the personal property that you are already receiving from USAA is only $6,000. And I am assuming that we had an inspector to come out and look at your property. So if you could correct me on that if I'm wrong. And that inspector determined that you were only eligible for $7,548 in addition to the $6,000 that you received from your insurance company. So that's what I'm thinking as I'm answering your question. We do not provide replacement assistance. One. So let's say you had a television set that was worth $600. We're not necessarily going to give you $600 to replace the television set. What our caseworkers are going to do is look at all of the damage that the inspector noted at your house and assign the value that is in like our system to that item. So if someone had a $600 television and someone else had a $6,000 television, the amount of money they receive for the television is going to be the same. So what happens is if we look at your personal property and determine that the $6,000 was enough to cover all of your personal property, then you're going to receive assistance similar to what you received. Although we have a $43,600 max grant amount, you may not receive the max grant for your personal property assistance. And that's for anyone across the board. Because if the inspector comes in and looks at all of the items that were damaged, they're going to put that information into the system. And then a caseworker is going to pull out those assigned amounts. And that is the maximum amount of assistance that you may be eligible for. So a lot of times when we talk to people, we tell them we need to understand your specific information, circumstance, etc., to determine what you may be eligible for. And that's why, because each person's situation is different. So it is possible that the damage that the inspector saw is not a complete picture of all of the things that were damaged. It's possible that as they were doing their inspection, they missed some things. And so if you have images of your home prior to the disaster, images of the things that you had in your home, those kinds of things, that would be the information that I would provide for an appeal. Also understanding that if it's going to cost you $20,000, I'm just throwing out a number, I don't know, to replace the items that were damaged at your home, the best option for you may be to apply for a small business loan from an SBA loan for your personal property to cover the remainder that is not being provided by either your insurance company or from FEMA. And that is how all of these types of assistance work together to help you to recover. It's most probably not the answer that you would like, but that is the information just based on what I'm understanding about what you're saying. And I would also say the assistance that the county is now offering may also be able to offset the assistance that FEMA is providing, because I'm sure that the contents of your home were worth as replacement value more than what you received. I hope that answers your question.
I think you did answer it. I think the only thing she asked is a follow-up. She said no FEMA inspector came out, only a remote USAA virtual inspection late January.
Well, then you haven't had a FEMA inspection. So that could be an issue as well. So what your assistance may just be based on the insurance documentation that you've provided. So I would go to a disaster recovery center if possible, or call us and let them know what the situation is and that you believe that you have more contents to be considered and that you would like to have an inspector to look at your damages.
All right. I think we're almost done. We have a few more notable. Anthony said, I was displaced from my rental unit for 10 days due to a mandatory evacuation order in effect for my zone. How do I supply proof of the mandatory evacuation order applicable to my address?
That is a question that I'm still trying to figure out. If there's any documentation that was provided to you to leave, I would utilize that, whether it was a notification on your phone. And trust me, I know you may not have that. But I've also been talking to our colleagues at the city and county to see if there's some way that we can provide that information. So team, can we flag that so that I can get that answer and add it to our information that we provide? But if you have anything that shows that you were forced to evacuate, anything, I would utilize that. Yes, David. I can't hear you.
I know many of our attendees are excited to share this webinar and information with others. Can you remind them what website can they visit to view this webinar?
Oh, absolutely. So we have, I'm going to pull it up and put it in the chat. We have a disaster page. And on that disaster page, we posted an event for this in the news and media resources, that link that was shared earlier. Right, so I'm going to put that link in the chat. This is the event link where I will add additional information. So we can just add a link to the webinar so that you can access it again.
Okay, and Brandy, Jan Chat asked, we haven't had an inspection either, but our case record shows we did. I uploaded a letter today that we have not had one. Why would it show there was an inspection?
That's something that I would jump on, because you don't want someone else to have been present for your inspection. But it could be that the inspector went to the area and was looking around and made determinations without you being there. But I would ensure that it was added to my file that I wasn't present at the inspection. And I definitely reach out to our 1-800 number to see if there's any additional information that they need you to provide.
And then she asked a follow-up. She found her evacuation order today, and she said it was hard to pin down, but I found the evacuation order and she screenshotted it.
Those are the types of forms of documentation that I would utilize. Absolutely. And can she share how she found it so that we can share?
She did flag it. She said, I mean, I don't know if we can hit that link, but there is a link in there, Brandy.
Okay.
Protect.genesis.com/search. I'm not going to click it but I'll let y'all flag it if you want. It's at the 846 mark.
Protect.genesis.com/what?
/search.
Search. I believe that's an actual website. I'll click it.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't want to get a virus, so yeah, Elizabeth
Yeah,
did the
it
thing,
is.
so it's good. Okay.
Yeah, it is.
All right.
So for the other gentleman who asked that question, I believe Anthony, there you go. Hopefully that can help you to show that you were evacuated.
Okay. One anonymous attendee at 8:35, can displaced residents impacted by the California wildfires qualify for rental assistance even if they move out of the area or out of town temporarily and or permanently?
Yes. That's the easy one.
Okay. Andrea says, hi, my account was locked since mid of January. After I submitted my passport now, it seems that my case is accepted. However, when I click on my mailing address, I have a locked prompt. What exactly does this mean?
It may mean that you're not able to update. Well, I mean, it just sounds like you're unable to update your mailing address. So I would create a document, write a letter that says that your mailing address is X, Y, and Z, whatever it is, sign it, and submit that with some type of proof, maybe that that's your actual new address, because they may be trying to ensure that no one changes your address in your registration.
Perfect. Anonymous attendee said, can FEMA help determine what receipts fit under what category for uploading / eligibility? Some of the categories are not self-explanatory, if what qualifies and what doesn't.
What receipts qualify?
Yeah, it says what receipts fit under what category for uploading / eligibility.
Okay.
It says some of the categories are not self-explanatory.
That makes sense. That makes sense. We do this all the time, and you guys are doing this for the first time. So one, I would look at the categories of assistance that are explained in the document that I'm sharing. Two, I will also give you a link to a page that just explains individual assistance overall and all of the categories, so that if you see rental assistance, of course, that makes sense. You would know to submit your rental receipts. If you see moving and storage expense, that would be for storing any items that you need to store, like maybe some of your property was not damaged, and so you needed to put it in a storage facility until you were able to utilize it. We can support that. So yeah, I would utilize a fact sheet on individual assistance, and I'll place that link in the chat to maybe start to just note or categorize your receipts for each type of assistance. And this page will give you an overview of each type of assistance that you could potentially be eligible for under our grant programs. So I'm going to put that into the chat.
Okay. One question says, hello, my question is about lodging assistance. I'm a renter. FEMA inspection proved me eligible for lodging assistance because there's ash, soot, and smoke damage. I'm considering giving notice to discontinue my tenancy. How would this impact my eligibility for lodging reimbursement, since I can't pack or discard what remains in my apartment until it's safe to be there, and it's not scheduled yet?
So the fact that whether or not you move your contents, and please tell me if I'm off on this, because I think I missed part of the question while I was typing, but your movement of your contents does not impact your ability to get rental assistance. So because your contents are still there, or they're damaged, or they're waiting, or what have you, that has nothing to do with you and your habitability and being in a safe and secure place. So if it's determined that you cannot live there due to those definitions that I shared, the water doesn't work, the electricity's not on, it's not safe, then you can physically be somewhere else, even though your contents are there. Now, if you're talking about the fact that you may have to pay to be there while being somewhere else, that's a different conversation altogether. And you may not be eligible for assistance to pay for that place and another place for you to be.
Perfect. Anonymous attendee said, you said that rental assistance can be available for 18 months. Is there a dollar amount max on that?
Great question. It is typically the HUD amount for rentals in the area that you are in. So if you had a household of 4 people before the disaster, and you are in Los Angeles County, of course, the amount that HUD would give you for housing is typically the amount that you would receive for rental assistance per month.
Okay,
And I say typically because there may be some exceptions, but typically, yes, that is what you would get.
Perfect. Anonymous attendee said, 807, my question may have been lost when your system restarted. FEMA inspection proved me eligible for lodging assistance. I'm considering giving notice to discontinue I think this is the same question, discontinue my tenancy because of years of issues with the landlord, including with remediation delays, but it's not even safe to be in my place to pack for a move because of ash, soot, and smoke damage. How would discontinuing my tenancy affect my eligibility for lodging reimbursement, considering delays and remediation?
The choice is yours on where you will stay with the assistance that we provide. And I want to answer this question this way, and forgive me, but you are still empowered to use the assistance that we give you in your best interest. You are not beholden to stay at a specific place. You can choose the hotel that you stay in and all these kinds of things. So it's the same with your rental assistance. You may be feeling that way because you have a lease there and you can document and show that you have a lease, and the housing market is challenging and all of the things that come with living in this area. However, you are empowered to make a decision about where you're going to live, where you're going to sign a lease. And it could be that you sign a year lease somewhere else because you don't want to continue to stay there. And you request moving and storage expenses to help you to get your things out of that place. But the decisions are up to you. The assistance we can help you with based on certain qualifications, but how you utilize it is totally up to you.
Okay, I guess we got about 4 more minutes, or are we staying a little bit past 9?
4 is fine.
Okay.
4 minutes is fine.
Right.
I've kept y'all all night.
You're right. I just wanted to make sure. I was like, okay. All right. Does FEMA provide funds to repair our driveway destroyed by EPA debris removal?
So I would reach out to EPA. There's a helpline number in the information that I provided to see if there's some remediation for that. And then for assistance from FEMA for your driveway, I need to think about that one because I did share some information about private roads and bridges. I believe that actually getting up to your house is something that we may cover, but I'm not sure. I'm not for sure. So let me check on that. So team, if y'all could take that driveway, EPA, but you will have the number for EPA to be able to reach out to them when we send this deck to you.
Perfect. I think this will be the last one of the night. If we've opted in for the government debris removal, but have not had a FEMA inspector come out to our property for an assessment, should we delay the debris removal until the FEMA assessment is conducted?
No, you don't have to do that. Especially if you're having debris removal of your entire property in particular, because your home was a total loss, absolutely not. But if there are some aspects of your home that need to remain or that have remained, you can take photos and share that with the inspector. And I'm talking about serious photos, like go around and take photos of the entire area to give them a sense of what has happened at your property.
Okay. The anonymous attendee had a follow-up. EPA informed them to contact FEMA.
Okay, so whoever that is, message me directly now that the chat is available, and let me see what I can find out.
All right. I think one more question. This 8:59. Can you explain TSA versus lodging reimbursement?
That's a good one. TSA is Transitional Shelter Assistance. That is provided to you based on your registration. So you register for assistance. We find that you are eligible for TSA. We call you and we give you the information to go to a hotel. We'll give you a login. You choose a hotel, you go and stay there. We pay the bill for you. We pay the hotel expense, the pet expense, and the taxes. We do not pay for parking and, movies and those things, but we paid the basics. Lodging expense reimbursement is you were displaced from the disaster. The fire came, you had to go to a hotel because you couldn't stay in the area. You paid for lodging. And then you find out later that your home was destroyed. You found out later that your home is going to need extensive repair, what have you. You can't be there. You would submit those receipts to us for reimbursement of what you paid. So lodging expense reimbursement, you paid, you're submitting receipts. Transitional shelter assistance, we look at your registration, we call you. Are you interested in this program? You say yes or no. We put you in a hotel, we pay for it. And then at the end of that, we're helping you to get into a long-term place to live. That's the difference.
Perfect. Well, it's 9:01. We still have 48 participants. You want to go a little longer? We shutting it down.
Does anyone have a burning question that you're going to be upset if we don't answer it? I think we've answered so many.
Can they raise their hand, Brandy, if they have a burning question?
They can do some kind of reaction. or post it in the chat. Some people may just be listening to see if we're going to answer a question that they want to know about. I would do the same thing. So
somebody did say, how can they message you directly?
Oh, my name is in here, isn't it, Brandy? Richard Thompson?
Mm-hmm. So Deborah, you can, in the chat, you can directly reach out to Brandy.
Yeah.
So that takes away 2 questions. Oh, yep, she gave the applause.
Awesome.
I think that's a good stopping point.
Yeah, we don't want to use government resources all night. All right, folks, thank you all so much for participating. If you need us to support you with another event, just let us know. We appreciate you just hanging in to recover. We know this is hard and we want to make it less hard. So thanks, team. Y'all have a good night. I'm going to shut it down.